Super Bowl XXXIII took place in Miami, Florida on the 31st of January 1999. The Denver Broncos took on the Atlanta Falcons in front of around 75,000 fans. During the halftime show, Stevie Wonder, Big Bad Voodoo Daddy and Gloria Estefan took turns singing songs in what was named a celebration of soul, salsa and swing. Clearly, this wasn't a halftime show that suited everyone. No halftime show ever does. So while the fans in attendance would have no choice but to sit through the performances whether they were soul fans or not, viewers at home could switch the channel and watch something else. The World Wrestling Federation and the USA Network decided to air a special wrestling match during the Super Bowl halftime show, and not only was this match going to feature two of the company's most popular superstars, but the match was going to take place inside an empty arena, and the WWF Championship would be on the line. Sunday Night Heat aired as normal on the night of the Super Bowl, but the USA Network interrupted an episode of Pacific Blue to show fans this special match, and the Halftime Heat empty arena match would sync up with the Super Bowl so fans could switch channels, watch some wrestling, and then go straight back to the game afterwards. The match the WWF put on featured WWF champion The Rock defending his championship against Mankind. And in an empty arena match, anything goes and pinfalls count anywhere. So things were going to get quite chaotic while Stevie Wonder sang "You Are the Sunshine of My Life" over in Miami, Florida. In 2021, the terms empty arena and no fans in attendance are things we really want to get away from, but back in 1999, the idea and novelty of an empty arena match sounded very intriguing. And with The Rock and Mankind taking part in this match, there was no way this wasn't going to be a whole lot of fun. Today's video looks at Halftime Heat 1999 and The Rock vs Mankind empty arena match. Okay, so let's set the scene before looking at the match itself. It all started at the 1998 Survivor Series in the Deadly Game Tournament, a tournament that would crown a new WWF champion. Mick Foley had aligned himself with the evil Vince McMahon while The Rock was really beginning to break out as a fan favourite. Rocky had turned babyface following his involvement with the Nation of Domination, and just before Survivor Series, The Rock was being positioned as the next guy who was going to have a lengthy rivalry with Vince McMahon, not too dissimilar to how Steve Austin feuded with the boss throughout the year. The Deadly Game Tournament came down to Mankind and The Rock, and in one of the best swerves the WWF ever produced, it was revealed that The Rock and Vince McMahon had been working together all along. Rock reverted back to being a heel even though wrestling fans had just fully embraced him as a babyface. The WWF decided to reenact the Montreal Screwjob to end the Mankind vs Rock finals match at the 1998 Survivor Series. Vince's relationship with Mankind up to this point was kinda based around manipulation, so fans already felt a little sorry for Mrs. Foley's baby boy. But when Mankind innocently questioned McMahon about why he just got screwed, and when The Rock attacked Foley after the bout, fans started showing a great deal of sympathy for Mankind. And so began the rivalry between The Rock and Mankind, a rivalry that would feature 4 back-to-back pay-per-view matches between the two men along with other noteworthy TV matches. Rock vs Mankind took place the following month at In Your House Rock Bottom, and Mankind defeated Rocky by applying the mandible claw, knocking The Rock out cold. To screw over Mick Foley once again, Vince McMahon announced afterwards that the title can only change hands via pinfall or submission, and seeing as Rock didn't submit when Socko was stuck down his throat, The Rock was still the World Wrestling Federation champion. Foley was again attacked after the bout, and by this point, the sympathy fans felt for Mankind was at an all-time high. Fans wanted to see Mick Foley win the championship, not only because he was getting robbed by Vince McMahon and the corporation at every given opportunity, but Mick Foley had also become a really likeable character. Fans also appreciated how Mick Foley had put himself through ridiculous amounts of pain throughout the years for their enjoyment. And while putting the championship on The Rock was a great move, and while the future of the World Wrestling Federation had The Rock written all over it, the company had told a great story with Mankind at the end of 1998, and it was time to give him what many felt he rightfully deserved, both from a storyline perspective and a real-life perspective. Fans got what they asked for on the first Raw of 1999 when Mick Foley finally won the WWF Championship after defeating The Rock. This was a no disqualification match, and Mankind may have had a little help from Stone Cold Steve Austin, but that doesn't take away from the sheer joy inside the arena when Foley won the championship. It's one of the best pops in the history of Raw, and it's one of those moments that still feels really special no matter how many times you watch it. Mankind's first title reign was short-lived though, as The Rock would be getting a rematch at the 1999 Royal Rumble. I've covered the Mankind vs Rock I Quit match in the past, so I'm not going to go into too much detail here. I'm sure many of you guys already know the story anyway, but in short, Mankind got absolutely destroyed by The Rock during this bout. Foley got handcuffed and he took a ton of unprotected chair shots. A ton of chair shots that Mick didn't agree to take while the match was being laid out. It was so bad that Foley's family left the arena, the footage of which was captured in the Beyond the Mat documentary. And while seeing Foley win the championship on Raw feels special on repeat viewings, this Royal Rumble match is like a car crash that you can't look away from. The finish of the match saw Mick Foley get screwed over once again. During Sunday Night Heat earlier in the evening, Mankind cut a promo where he said the words "I quit" multiple times.
You will be screaming the magic words, "I quit! I quit! I quit!"
And when Foley was knocked out by The Rock during the Royal Rumble match, an audio recording of the Sunday Night Heat interview was played in the arena, making it seem like Mankind had indeed said the words "I quit" to end the match.
I quit! I quit! What? I quit!
So we were back to The Rock being WWF Champion, and this brings us to Haltime Heat. The empty arena match was made official the night after the Royal Rumble. Vince McMahon had given The Rock 100 grand out of Shane McMahon's trust fund, and Mick Foley decided to steal the money and give it away to fans in the arena. Mankind then told The Rock that the Great One didn't beat him. Foley never said the words "I quit" at the Royal Rumble, and so Mankind wants a rematch against the new WWF Champion. Mankind says he has an idea. There's gonna be millions of bored people at home during the halftime show at the Super Bowl. The Rock can give Mankind his rematch then inside an empty arena, and if The Rock refuses, then the 100 grand that Rock got earlier from Vince McMahon won't be The Rock's anymore. The Rock agrees, and so fans now knew they could switch over to the USA Network during halftime to see a special, one-of-a-kind WWF Championship match. Fans who decided to stick with the Super Bowl ended up seeing a WWF commercial showing the superstars walking through complete carnage at Titan Towers. And just as a quick side note, there's an excellent behind the scenes video of this Super Bowl commercial on YouTube right now that's worth checking out. As previously mentioned, Sunday Night Heat took place as normal on Super Bowl Sunday, but the empty arena match came on a little later. The version on the WWE Network includes the empty arena match as part of the entire Sunday Night Heat broadcast, and this is the version we'll be looking at in this video. The empty arena match was taped on January 26, 1996 in the Tucson Convention Center in Tucson, Arizona. After the empty arena match, the WWF opened the doors and the February 1st episode of WWF Raw was also taped. This meant that fans who attended the Raw tapings found out that Mankind won the empty arena match before it aired, so the winner of the match would end up getting leaked out anyway. I know this because I remember learning about the winner before the match aired in the United States. I can't remember how I found out, but I definitely knew the outcome of the match. Also, I'm pretty sure too that the empty arena match didn't air at all in the UK. I had to wait a little while before seeing the match, and I could be wrong here, maybe it did air on Sky TV, but I remember seeing the match weeks after it took place. Anyway, Heat opens up with Michael Cole letting us know who's going to be in attendance for the championship match. Vince McMahon is going to provide commentary, Earl Hebner will serve as the referee, and we'll also have our two competitors. This was a lie, by the way, because there were others in the arena, including ring announcer Howard Finkel and the cameraman too, of course. The Rock arrives in style with Vince McMahon in a limousine, while Foley pulls up to the arena in a scrapper Toyota Corolla. We arrive at halftime during the Super Bowl, and it's time for the match. Mankind is already in the ring, and out comes The Rock along with Vince McMahon. One of the first things you notice that's great about this match is the fact that you can hear absolutely everything.
Let's listen up. First time ever.
You get the first time.
Again, keep in mind that this was long before the WWE moved their productions into the Performance Center and the Thunderdome during the pandemic era, so this stuff was interesting. Foley calls Rock a bastard after nailing a back elbow. We then see Foley's double arm DDT, and it looks like it's already all over as Rocky takes the mandible claw. The champ falls out of the ring and Mick hits Rock with a unique baseball slide that still does the job. A swinging neckbreaker follows, and Mick takes advantage of the falls count anywhere rule, but Rock kicks out at 2. Mankind then beats The Rock up at the announce table. McMahon doesn't like what he sees and Foley tells the boss that he's next. The corporate champion ends up throwing Mick through a barricade, and this is when The Rock begins talking trash. One of the most entertaining things about this contest is the fact that The Rock cuts promos throughout the whole match, so make sure you check this one out in its entirety after watching this video. Rock throws Mankind into a row of chairs and Vince McMahon gets excited as the Great One begins dumping chairs on top of Foley. Rock then grabs a black steel chair and Foley takes a few shots to the head. Again, Vince McMahon loves what he sees. Rock goes over to the commentary table to talk a little trash, but if you look in the background, you'll see Mr. Socko raised in the air. The Rock has no idea what's coming. Vince tries to warn The Rock, but it's no good. The claw gets locked in, but Rock manages to break the hold by hitting a low blow. The two men then begin fighting in section 120, and neither competitor gets the upper hand. Rock starts walking up to the cheap seats and he grabs a trash can while hiding away from Foley. When Foley makes it up the staircase, he gets whacked. Mankind then gets kicked back down the steps and the bump looks pretty painful here. The Rock dumps the contents of the trash can all over Mankind before the competitors make their way to the kitchen area. Rock is still in control, and Mankind takes probably his most delicious bump ever when he gets thrown into some cotton candy. Rock then takes Mr. Socko away from Mankind, and Socko gets put in a nearby oven. Foley then gets beaten around the kitchen for a while, and somehow Mankind has also lost one of his boots. Foley gets thrown into a pile of plates, and just have a listen here.
Jack Daniels, if you please. Knock him to his knees.
It's so good. Would you rather watch this or Gloria Estefan? Rock gets the bottle of Jack knocked out of his hand as Mankind begins fighting back. Rock then gets thrown onto the pile of plates, and then it's Rocky's turn to get beaten up with delicious treats when Foley comes at the Great One with a giant bag of popcorn. The fight then spills out into the catering area where the production crew are having a break. The Rock tries some popcorn, but it's too salty for the Great One, and the two men begin fighting at the food table. Utensils, salads, bread, nothing is off limits as The Rock and Mankind turn their WWF Championship match into a food fight. Rock then throws some hot sauce on Foley, and the champ decides to have a taste himself.
It's mild, you...
Mankind continues to get punished at the catering table, and things are looking pretty bleak for Mrs. Foley's baby boy. A low blow brings Mankind back into the match though. Foley tries to pin his opponent, but he only gets a 2 count. Rock then throws a bowl of ice all over his opponent before pouring a Pepsi on Mankind. And then the two travel to the office area of the building. It's a little jarring how the men are seemingly teleporting from one location to another. But anyway, the phone rings and The Rock picks it up.
That's right, well no, Mankind's not available right now. He's a little busy. His mouth is full with The Rock's foot in his mouth.
After taking a hard punch to the face, Foley gets laid out on the couch. And then the phone rings again.
Smackdown Hotel, 200-year-old Boulevard, Jabroni Drive. No, Mankind can't talk. He's a little tied up right now.
The Rock's trash talking gets him in trouble when he starts mouthing off to a lady inside the office. Foley attacks Rock from behind and the fight spills to the outside corridor. After a little more fighting, the two men end up in their final location, the loading area of the arena. After both men knock each other down with right hands, Foley takes the sock off his foot and it gets stuck down Rocky's throat. The two men end up under a wooden pallet that's been conveniently held up by a forklift, and the mandible claw remains locked in. Mankind politely asks the forklift driver to move, Foley takes control, and the wooden pallet holding a few beer kegs gets lowered onto Rocky. The camera angles used here definitely kills any illusion that this was live, but this is how the match ends. Rock's shoulders are on the floor and Mankind stands on the pallet to win the match and the WWF Championship for the second time. An extremely fun matchup here that I really enjoyed watching back for this YouTube upload. Sure, it's goofy in places and it's not the most extreme encounter between Foley and The Rock, but both men are incredibly entertaining here and they made this thing work really well. The next night on Raw, Mankind agreed to give Rock a rematch at the St. Valentine's Day Massacre pay-per-view, a Falls Count Anywhere bout. And this one was another very physical contest. Things were toned down here in comparison to the Royal Rumble match, but don't sleep on this one either, it's still very good and it's still worth your time. In the end, the match ended in a draw when Rock and Mankind hit each other with steel chairs, meaning that Mick Foley left St. Valentine's Massacre still the WWF champion. The next night on Raw, Foley and Rock had a ladder match for the championship, and The Rock ended up winning the WWF title for the third time when newcomer Paul White interfered. White, soon to be renamed as The Big Show, hit Mankind with a chokeslam, allowing Rock to retrieve the WWF Championship and secure his place in the WrestleMania 15 main event. So, was the empty arena match in Haltime Heat a success? It was a resounding success. The rating came in at a 6.6, which roughly translates into around 11 million viewers. You'd think that a rating like this would lead to an annual Haltime Heat event, but because the internet became such a huge part in, well, spoiling absolutely everything in wrestling that was pre-taped, the WWF decided not to do another halftime match until 2019. The Haltime Heat idea was brought back to NXT when Aleister Black, Ricochet and Velveteen Dream defeated Adam Cole, Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano in a very entertaining match. The 2019 version was live from the WWE's Performance Center though, meaning that no spoilers could get out, and really, I'm not so sure many people would have cared if it was taped or not, seeing as there were no big stakes on the line for this 6-man tag. It's another case of the original being the best, but it's still a great idea and it's something I'd like to see happen more often. But just to go back to Rock and Foley, you really can't go wrong with any of their matches during this time period. From the great swerve at Survivor Series, Foley trying to get what's rightfully his at rock bottom, the brutality of the I Quit match, the very fun and entertaining empty arena bout, and finally the St. Valentine's Day Massacre Last Man Standing fight. All these matches are worth watching and each one is different. The empty arena match is kind of an oddity these days, but don't let that put you off either. It's a good match that ended up being a great rating success for the World Wrestling Federation. Thank you very much for watching this video.